everybody. It's Tom Stoukas coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario on October 29th, Wednesday, October 29th. Hope everybody's having a nice night. Excuse me. Watching the Blue Jays game. 2-1. Is it 2-1? Toronto, yes. Pretty good series. So, yeah, we were talking the other day about Doug Ford, and he's still talking. He won't shut up. Every day, Doug Ford, since this whole thing with the commercial and Donald Trump cutting off trade talks, he's every day he has to say something. I can't believe it, really. It's hilarious. Today, like, what's he saying today? Apparently, the U.S. ambassador got to an argument with the Ontario trade representative, and there's some F-bombs involved. And Doug Ford was asked about it during some announcement today, and he's like demanding an apology from the U.S. ambassador over like this argument that it got reported on by some Canadian news outlet. So it's like basically an international incident now, because when you're demanding the ambassador apologize, it's kind of like where's it going to end? Like, someone's got to save face or whatever. I mean, the point is Doug Ford isn't in charge of the trade negotiations, but he seems to be at the center of all the headlines. And I can't see it helping Ontario, his behavior. He almost looks like he's drinking or something. I don't know what's wrong with him. So I guess the one good thing is his antics and the news, I guess, been focused on Doug Ford and his incompetence instead of all the. I was like talking about Indians for such a long time. I was getting sick of it. So I guess Doug Ford, something else to bitch about. We got Doug Ford. It's just he just won't shut up. But maybe he's a secret genius, and sorry, maybe he's a secret genius, and his plan's going to work out in the end, and Ontario's going to be good. But I don't think so. I think it's. I don't think it's going to. I don't think he has a secret master plan for us. I think it's the secret plan is to take care of Doug Ford. Doug Ford is going to take care of Doug Ford. And to hell with Ontario. That's what I think. Okay. So I'm just going to go through the day here. It's all Doug Ford today. Yeah. There's the boy there. Ontario Premier Doug Ford says U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra should apologize after he reportedly made unacceptable comments to the province's trade rep. So basically, he's demanding an apology, okay? I'm sure that's going to go over well with Trump. Like, Ford's his favorite person already. Let's read this. And Carney's in South Korea right now with Trump, actually, at an APEC summit. So, but of course, Ford's going to keep running his mouth. It's very interesting. Ford wants U.S. envoy to apologize for unacceptable comments to Ontario trade rep. So, Ontario Premier Doug Ford is calling on the U.S. Ambassador to Canada to apologize to the province's trade representative, saying his behavior was absolutely unacceptable, but added he felt he got heated. Let's see this.
related to your
Okay,
to Donald.
let's see what he says.
Globe and Mail has a piece that speaks about Ambassador Hoekstra, to use a blunt phrase, cursing out your Ontario representative in the United States at a meeting. What do you say to that? This was related to your advertisement related to Donald Reagan.
Yeah.
What's your response to Ambassador Hoekstra's words?
Come on, Ambassador. He's a guy. You know something? I like him. Pete, you got to call Dave up and apologize. It's simple. You know, the cheese slipped off the cracker. I get it. You're ticked off. But call the guy up because you're a good guy, and Dave's my champion. The guy is just instrumental in these trade deals down in Washington. And, you know,
he's
some
very
people get
instrumental,
hot.
yeah.
They get heated. I get heated sometimes. But just call the guy up and bury the hatchet because the ambassador's a good guy, actually. I love Dave. I like the ambassador, so he knows what to do. Come on, Pete. You've been.
This is why I think Ford's like drinking, because he gives these rambling answers when he could have just said, I don't know, no comment, or, you know, whatever, anything. But he just rambles on like it's like he had a few beers and he's like won't shut up. I don't know.
Before Moses, call the guy up and apologize. Let's start getting back on track.
His eyes
Really,
all glassy
this
too.
was a dressing down. This was screaming, yelling, whatever it is. The reports are in front of a large audience about an ad, an innocuous ad that points out that Ronald Reagan supported free trade that you chose to run. Is this acceptable behavior for a diplomat?
Absolutely unacceptable. I've never heard anything about it. All I'm getting at is I'm not telling him. I'm suggesting that, you know, if you get hot-headed one day, call Dave up and say, I apologize. Sorry, got a little heated. So
he's not telling him. He literally just demanded an apology from the U.S. ambassador. So, like, I'm not saying to be like bow down to Donald Trump. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, why they obviously have a lot more leverage than us, and our trader leaders have destroyed Canada to put us in this weak position. So, is it gonna why escalate something like a few F-bombs? Why escalate it into a big thing where you got to demand an apology and you know push you know kind of everybody has to save face now, and just he's making a big deal out of nothing. He won't shut the fuck up, and the people of Ontario are going to pay.
As simple as that. People get in disagreements. It's unbecoming of an ambassador. Never heard of this.
So now he's insulting the ambassador.
But the ambassador is a different type of cat. He thinks I'm a different type of cat, but he's a different type of cat as well.
So does that sound like a guy drinking and all drunk, or had a few beers and he won't shut the fuck up? That's what it sounds like to me. I think we should be testing the premier for drugs and alcohol. But, like, listen, he's rambling on. He could have had that answer in 10 seconds. And it's like, is it really that big a deal? Two guys got in an argument over a heated argument, and they have to, like, is it worth making an international incident over it? Like, but apparently Doug Ford thinks so. Again, maybe he's this master genius I don't know about, and he's got Donald Trump right where he wants him.
So, Pete, do the right thing. Give the guy a call. Let's move on.
What does that say to you that the person who is ostensibly, you know, baking in Canadian culture does not understand at this moment why you ran that Reagan ad and what it is that Ontarians are trying to achieve in our negotiations with the U.S.?
I guess the ambassador, he must understand it. He's been around for forever. When you have someone attacking your province, attacking your country, constantly saying it's a 51st state, trying to take our auto jobs down to the U.S., taking our manufacturing, life science jobs, trying to take our steel jobs, what do they expect me to do? Sit back and roll over like every other person in the world? I'm going to fight like I've never fought before. I said during the election I'm going to protect people, and I will use every tool in my toolbox to protect the people of Ontario and protect the people of Canada. Like,
see, he's running protect the people of Canada. this guy, thinks he can replace Pierre as the Conservative leader. So he's basically gambling with Ontario's future and economy to look like this tough guy so he can run for the leadership. This is what his handlers are telling him to do. We'll see. I don't think it'll. I could be wrong, but I think he's leading a path to disaster. That's what he's doing.
What does he expect? And the intention wasn't to go poke the president in the eye. My intention was to get a conversation going, wake up the Democrats a little bit down there. And my goodness, it woke them up all right. We love Americans. I'll tell you, we don't love President Trump. I'll tell you that. And I think
this is today.
And the poll I saw on CNN is minus 60.
So this is today. This is after they cut off trade negotiations. They basically, said we're done talking to you guys, and he's still talking like this, like we don't love President Trump. And I'm not saying you have to say we love President Trump, but he's been attacking this guy for months, okay? And all we've seen as a result is plants announcing closures out of Ontario. So maybe he should just shut the fuck up.
I don't know, minus 60. I don't know how much lower you can get than minus 60. So why doesn't the president start being nice, play nice in the sandbox to his biggest customer in the entire world? And
look at the Indians behind him laughing.
How do you know the Prime Minister and his Chief of Staff saw this particular ad before you moved ahead with airing it?
I was with them.
He's
Did
with
they
them.
express concern when you were with them?
I'm not going to talk about our private conversation at all. I told them that we're running it. I'm going to cut it off on Monday, and that's it. It's a real ad. It worked. It was the most successful ad ever. I don't know any ad that's ever hit 11.4 billion in every single country in the world. Their leadership and population was watching it because it's real. Ronald Reagan is telling the truth. A tariff on Canada is a tax on American people. And I could run 10 more different ads, which I'm not going to, with Ronald Reagan saying different speeches about how tariffs are terrible.
You won't shut up, man.
Down in the U.S. now, they're losing manufacturing jobs for 5 months in a row, down 78,000. Inflation's hitting. It doesn't work. So let's sign a deal, and a fair deal, and we'll move forward.
Yeah,
and
I don't think they're going to want to sign a deal with you, you fat traitor. So, yeah, he won't shut up. Every day he keeps talking. It's weird. I don't know what they're up to. Like, is Carney and him working together, or are they? Like, I don't understand it. Whatever. Maybe he has some master plan. Maybe he knows. Let's see what this one. Doug Ford called Mark Carney his best friend. Now he's throwing him under the bus. That's the kind of thing a fat pig like Ford would do to their best friend.
Anyways, everyone's obsessed. Just think of that, 11.4 billion impressions or views.
He keeps talking about that stupid commercial.
Saw it, and it's just real. It's a real ad. It worked. It was the most successful ad ever. I don't know any ad that's ever hit 11.4 billion in every single country in the world. Their leadership and population was.
Yeah. Have another beer, Dougie. I don't know. I've called this guy traitor and a destroyer of Ontario since COVID. Oh, and people now maybe they're starting to figure it out, but too bad Ontario's auto sector will be destroyed. I mean, it might have been destroyed anyway, and it might have been. So, but I still don't understand. Instead of picking these fights with Donald Trump and talking about Donald Trump every day, maybe try and fix Ontario, because you've destroyed Ontario. Even before Trump got reelected, Ontario was gone to shit between all your DEI commie shit in the schools and the COVID shit and the mass immigration and hand in hand with Trudeau. Doug Ford did more than enough to destroy Ontario. And now Donald Trump's going to finish the job. we'll see. Maybe he has a master. I don't think he does have a master plan. All right. U.S. Ambassador to Canada was heard dropping F-bombs in a tirade at Ontario's trade representative, witnesses say. Pete Hoekstra's anger focused on the province's anti-tariff ads. Okay. So, yeah. I think Brian Lilly did this story, broke the story. So, yeah. It's funny. Probably Ford wanted this to get out, that the ambassador was yelling at the Ontario trade rep. I don't know. He thinks he's playing this game. Instead of shutting his fat mouth, Doug Ford just keeps going. He's calls on U.S. ambassador to apologize. Yeah, I don't think the U.S. ambassador is going to apologize. Okay. An F-bomb laden tirade calls for an apology, and one ignored Prime Minister. The fallout from Ontario's Ronald Reagan commercial continues. Yeah, Trump's giving him the cold shoulder. Mark Carney the cold shoulder in Korea. And I'm sure he'll keep doing it as long as Doug Ford keeps talking. Let's see.
Get heated sometimes, but just...
The mounting trade tension between Canada and the United States appears to be fissuring on all fronts. At an international yet intimate dinner in Asia, the Prime Minister sat directly across from Donald Trump and was left ignored. Here at home, a diplomatic incident has also ruffled political feathers.
You know, some people get hot, they get heated. I get heated sometimes, but just call the guy up and bury the hatchet.
Global News has confirmed that the U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, exchanged words with Ontario's representative in Washington, David Patterson, at a recent event in Ottawa. Sources with knowledge of the conversation say it was, quote, an extended F-bomb-laden tirade that went on for 5 minutes.
It's unbecoming of an ambassador. I've never heard of this in my entire life. Call the guy up and apologize. Let's start getting back on track.
Sources said the tirade is reflective of what Hoekstra has said before in private, that Canadians are combative, and Ontario's removal of American liquor from the LCBO is an irritant. While the federal government was tight-lipped today, other MPs say they've heard the same on a recent trade mission to Washington.
We were hearing that the way Doug Ford was acting was not the best way to have discussion and conversation about the negotiations.
What also came up in that confrontation, Ontario's anti-tariff commercial, which triggered a visceral reaction from Trump and led to the termination of talks.
The intention wasn't to go poke the president in the eye. My intention was to get a conversation going, wake up the Democrats a little bit down there.
But despite the public rift, Canada's ambassador to the U.S. suggests the behind-the-scenes work continues.
You know why we'll get back to it? Because it's in the interests of Americans and it's in the interests of Canadians, and that is what is going to ultimately guide the day.
She warns, however, there's only one person who decides what happens next.
All right. Yeah, so basically, Doug Ford needs to shut the fuck up. He needs to resign. He's destroyed Ontario. Every time he talks now, every day he talks, he destroys Ontario more. So hopefully, I have no faith in him after seeing what he did to Ontario for the last 8 years. He's going to protect Ontario. He destroyed Ontario. I have no faith in the federal government. They've destroyed this country with their immigration policies and their economic policies, and now and their childish attitude towards Trump in the last 10 years. They've antagonized him for 10 years, our government. Now the chickens are coming home to roost. So I have no faith in Doug Ford or Mark Carney to get us out of this or get us into a better position. Not just vis-a-vis Trump, but in general, just Canada in general. These guys are clowns. No wonder Trump talks like this about Canada. When he sees clowns like Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau, maybe not Mark Carney, he seems to at least respect Mark Carney a little more than Justin Trudeau, but clowns like Justin Trudeau and Doug Ford and Jagmeet Singh and David Eby, and Wob Canoe, when they see these guys running Canada, of course he's going to talk shit about us. It's not complicated. He needs to shut the fuck up already. But every day he's causing an international incident. It's very embarrassing. Like, yeah, whatever. The ambassador did some F-bombs and he talked to the Ontario trade guy. You want to make a big deal out of it? Go ahead. I'm not that worried about it. He just can't stop, can he? Does he actually think this is helping? The auto sector in Ontario is cringing right now. He is so out of touch. Yeah, I mean, if you're an auto worker in like Windsor or wherever, Oshawa or wherever, you'd be getting your resumes ready with this guy talking.
Poll I saw on CNN is minus 60.
Yeah, he keeps talking.
Minus 60. I don't know how much.
And his chief of staff saw this particular ad before you moved ahead with airing it.
I was with them.
Okay, he's talking about.
Did they express concern when you were with them?
I'm not going to talk about our.
Okay, sorry, we see that already. He just won't shut up. And he talks about, he had this thing with the Indians today, the natives, not Indians, native bands about the Ring of Fire. It's like, you've been premier 8 years. And now you're saying, oh, the Ring of Fire, we're going to protect Ontario with the Ring of Fire. It's like, what have you been doing the last 8 years as premier? Okay. I see this this is a new account. And it's kind of out of Britain because they found like all the Britain commercials are like most over half of it is black people, even though they're nowhere near that in the population. And then if they do have a white person in the ad, they make them look like a dummy. And I was like, that's the way Canada commercials are pretty cringe too, because like they have to be like totally diverse, like just for diversity's sake, and they do the same thing that they're doing here in Britain. So I like this account. It's called White Men Are Stupid in Commercials.
Introducing MasterCard Marketplace. Camera with wide
I'm sensing a trend here. I see this in Canada.
Identical camera with identical lens. 30% off on MasterCard Marketplace.
Wait, how much?
Ibuprofen, $12.
So
X-ray, $90. Chiropractor, $200.
I'm okay.
The smarter way to shop online, priceless.
you notice how they don't care about if the white guy's hurt or not. They're just like, whatever. Anyway, I'm sick of the commercials here. I can't even watch Canadian commercials. Next. This is the thing, I guess Jagmeet Singh was in a jiu-jitsu tournament, and he won gold. And everybody's like saying how he could beat up any of these Canada First racists, and that's fine, yeah. And then Trudeau chatting with Katy Perry, so they're both living their best lives. They're both traitors, though. And I said we should deport traitor Singh Jagmeet to India and traitor Trudeau to Cuba. They destroyed Canada, and now they're living their best lives. Next. So yeah, while Doug Ford's bugging, running his fat mouth off, trying to destroy Canada and Ontario, we got these, he lets in, him and Trudeau were hand in hand filling Ontario with millions of immigrants. Can't afford a house now, can't get a doctor now. Schools starting to get overloaded. And I was saying about Carney wants to do there's a bunch of people that have expiring visas, millions of them, and he wants to do some kind of amnesty, I bet, where they get be allowed to stay and get permanent residence, whatever. Now, this is at Queen's Park here. Some temporary workers at Queen's Park, supported by Liberal MPPs, protested at Queen's Park on October 20th to demand extensions to their work permits. you could see that 99% are from one country. What country is that? Oh, India, maybe? Yeah, India, it looks like. So, yeah, that's in Ontario. And you're going to see that. There's going to be a lot of people bugging about all the expiring visas. That'll be something to keep an eye on. And this Trump thing's a big distraction because they're going to do an amnesty for all these millions. And they're going to keep letting millions in. I saw this graph here about the number of permanent residents so far this year. So while we're worried about, where is it here? Yeah, well, we're worried about Trump and, we got Doug Ford destroying Canada and Ontario with his obsession with Trump. We're still letting the floodgates in. So, this is for 2020. Look at the difference with India. 28%. But anyway, this is coming. You got millions of people expiring status, and they're going to be able to stay. It's like they're distracting us. Okay. This is a picture of Trump and Carney in Korea. It's a cool picture, actually. It's like Trump was like, screw you, Carney, at their dinner. It's a good picture. Kind of cool. Yeah. And then we got and I think it's funny how they're doing all this kind of blow up with Trump and Ford, like he won't shut up. And it's like just ahead of the budget that's coming up. It's supposed to be a nasty budget. And what better way to deflect your failure than to constantly bring up Donald Trump and blame him for everything. So, I mean, it makes sense now, maybe. Why all of a sudden this breakdown in trade negotiations happened just around budget time. All right. And just to not focus only on Doug Ford, because Canada's full of horrible leaders. I can't stand Doug Ford, but he's a traitor who helped destroy Ontario. But I take a little solace that I don't live in BC under the commie NDP regime. Canada is in big trouble from coast to coast. If you know what's going on in BC, there's a lot of anxiety by homeowners in Richmond because the courts are, I don't know the story, that they're given like land title or saying that native groups have a land title claim against like homeowners. So they're freaking out, but the government's not really inspiring a lot of confidence because they're a bunch of commies. Let's see what they say. Ahead of tonight's information.
The Conservatives say that the NDP was involved in making our government lawyers unable to argue against Aboriginal title extinguishment. What is your response to that claim?
Yeah, it's simply wrong, and I would ask the Conservative leader what his position was in 2014 when he was in government and received the first claim that was filed in this matter, and what his arguments were when he was in government.
So, at the meantime, while all this legal proceeding going on, is there any help the provincial government might be thinking to help out with the affected landowners or people?
Yeah, we're here to listen related to that and to understand different perspectives that are what's happening on the ground here. We're always focused on bringing out resolution and certainty with our First Nations partners and with the cities, and we'll be working together at all fronts to bring a resolution.
Minister Sharma, the court case been ongoing for 500 days, and you said today try to understand the implications. It's sort of late to understand the implication of the 500 days, right?
The decision that came out not long ago was 800 pages. So my job as Attorney General is to understand all of the legal aspects of that case with a really high-power team of lawyers that are looking through that. We announced quickly that we're going to be appealing, but we are going through that decision to see all of the grounds that we will appeal at the Court of Appeal.
Should the homeowner be a part of the appeal, or they will sitting on the sideline?
Well, you know, we asked early on in this case, the province in Canada, we went before the court and said, we think that it's right that the court notify the private property.
Okay, I don't know. So what's this? Ahead of tonight's information session, asked BC Attorney General Nikki Sharma about the legal implications. Okay. Yeah, BC. Who knows what's going on with that? Okay. And in Alberta, so you got the land title claims in BC and the NDP government, basically useless. In Alberta, they had a big independence rally. They had a lot of people there, and nobody covered it because it wasn't on any news or anything. I thought that was funny. CTV, Edmonton Journal, Calgary Herald, and Global News have all ignored largest Alberta independence rally in history. It has been 48 hours. Global even had a helicopter over the crowd. This is not journalism, it's state-funded propaganda. Yes. And the thing is, it kind of has a Doug Ford connection, is the more Doug Ford talks, and he says, you know, how Alberta doesn't have to worry about Trump, but Ontario does, and this and that. The more he talks, and the more Carney talks, and the more they screw up Canada, the more they make Alberta independence more attractive. It's horrible. And then while we're, you know, they're destroying the country, they're basically, you know, convincing more Albertans to get the hell out of Canada after the way they see Ontario and Canada being run. And now the Liberals want to what's it? They want to get closer to China now instead of like figuring out what to do with the U.S. Like, I don't know how serious that is, but if they're, you know, they want to do a long-term policy to shift away from the U.S. and partner with China or whatever, it's a good way to get invaded. Like, just like Ukraine got invaded by Russia because they wanted to be buddy-buddy with NATO. It's the same idea. It'd be funny to see what happens. Let's just cozy up to China. Why not? Trudeau's going to let them have military or police. Or don't they have... I'm sure Trudeau they have police stations here, from what I understand. Why not? Okay. And here's an Alberta guy.
You know, he gave me a big talk about life.
I honestly think that's another side effect of Doug Ford. He's not only destroying Canada, destroying Ontario's chances of saving some manufacturing, but he's also inspiring Alberta to leave. They're like, why would we want to, be led by Ontario when they have this fat trader?
election because he tried to play
Let's see what these
softball.
guys
He tried to sidestep issues like mass softball. He tried to
He's
sidestep
talking about Pierre, I think.
Pierre Poilievre lost the election because he tried to play softball. He tried to sidestep issues like mass immigration and things. He does hit on a lot of points, and I do like Pierre as a person, but I don't trust the CPC. They got a bunch of foreigners in their cabinet too. I'm 35 years old. I became a separatist 15 years ago. I met my real father, moved in with him, and you know, he gave me a big talk about life and how things are the way they are. And one of the things he really expounded on was how bad Justin Trudeau's stepdad, Pierre Trudeau, ruined this country in the 80s. And ever since then, I just understood like how Alberta's always gotten a poor deal, and it just always made sense. Like why should Alberta foot the bill for Canada? Why should Alberta, who's the hardest working people in this country, why should we pay for the welfare state of Canada? And ever since then, I just always realized that it just makes sense. It's the path forward for Alberta. And in 2006, actually, I was in grade 11 in my social studies class, and we were learning about the Canadian government and everything in social class. And I put my hand up in the class, and I announced in front of the class, you know, Alberta should separate from Canada and become its own country. And my social studies teacher, she laughed at me and called me an idiot in front of the whole classroom. But, you know, well, who's laughing now? I view all the political parties in Ottawa, except the PPC, as kind of like this big uniparty, and they'll talk one thing to get elected, and then they'll do something else when they get in. So
what? All right, so yeah, ignore the Alberta separatists at your peril. But you know, I don't want Alberta to leave Canada. But after seeing, you know, would you blame them after seeing the way this country's been run, destroyed? Really, not being run, destroyed. So when guys like Doug Ford and Mark Carney, the way they, you know, every time they open their mouths, not just them, but all the other traitor leaders in our government, you wonder, you know, it's not surprising why the Alberta separatist movement is gaining in popularity, even though it is a long ways away from actually, I think, getting to that. Over that hump that they need to become independent. But if things get worse in Canada, like this budget might show, and then I could see them gaining more support. So ignore them at your peril. Anyway, that's it. That's it for tonight. We'll see what Doug Ford says tomorrow. Like, I don't know what's going on with this guy, man. Like, what's he trying? He wants to be conservative leader? I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work. But if it works, then, you know, Canada, if Doug Ford becomes conservative leader, and heaven forbid ever becomes prime minister, then you know Canada's totally, irrevocably screwed. Okay? I know it's bad. It was bad with Trudeau. And it's bad with Carney, and we're at the precipice. But if Ford ever became Prime Minister of Canada, or even just conservative leader, federal conservative leader, then the country's too far gone. That's the last bit. You know, if a fat dummy like that becomes Prime Minister, then there's no country. So I don't think it'll happen. I hope it doesn't happen. But I didn't think he'd become Premier of Ontario either. So I think he was put in there at the right time, the right guy at the right time, by the powers that be. And if they try to do him the Canadian Prime Minister, then there is no hope for Canada. So anyway, we'll see. Maybe he's the master genius. Maybe he has that plan that I'm not seeing. I don't think so, though. Anyway, tomorrow we'll be back again at it. Tomorrow, October 30th. Devil's Night. It's Devil's Night. And see what's on the news for tomorrow. What happens tomorrow. Until then, have a nice night.